makers, I know you're probably as excited as I am about this surprise stamp set from Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. Mr. Rabbit, isn't he so dapper in his little outfit? And then we have some polka dots. Love this distressed plaid, a couple of egg dye advertisements all on one stamp set. This is going to be so much fun to use this month. So I thought I would start off. I have a couple of ideas, but you know, I usually can only get one, maybe two done. So I wanted to start off with the one that I thought I would use the most, and that is a decor piece. And I wanted to do it start to finish so that you could see that I could make this very quickly in an evening, and you can too, so that when you get your stamp set, and if you have the other things, you can have a decor piece made simply and quickly with this really great stamp set, Mr. Rabbit. So for my base, I'm going to use one of the Etcetera panels, the 6 by 8.5 rectangle panels, and you get 2 of each size in here. So I'm going to use one of the large size, and you can see everything's going to fit on there. And then on this, I am going to use 2 sets of 3 of the 2.5 by 2.5 square tiles. So these are the square Etcetera tiles. So when you purchase them, look for square Etcetera tiles. And you know, I always have all the products linked below in the description for this video. I also have them linked on my blog with my affiliate links. So it's easy shopping. Now you're going to need 2 sets because we're going to have 3 on this side and 3 on this side. And then one other Etcetera thing, I'm going to use one of the large Etcetera trims. I'm using the brackets, but you could use the scallops, you could use the pinks, you could use any of them. And you can see that it fits all the way across. So I'm planning on using that. You know, sometimes the things that you have planned, you change a little bit. That's okay. All right, now along with this, I am planning to use my DOILY CMS 254 stamp set. And so I don't know which doily I'm going to use yet. Now I'll probably only use half of it, but Leota is with us today too, so she's going to be helping out. But I am going to have a doily on this. Now, if you don't have the stamp set and you don't plan to buy it, you could use a die cut, you could use a little paper doily that you have, whatever. Use, you know, be creative, do you. And then from this set, the Spring Shadows CMS 393, this was a spring release from a few years ago. I'm really only going to be using the egg. If you have an egg die or you just want to cut out an egg or whatever it is, you can do that too. I'm going to be using a stamping technique that Tim and Stacy use quite often, and I haven't used before, so this is going to be my first time. I'm really excited about that too. All right. Those are the things I'm going to be using as far as stamps and my base. I'm also I have picked a variety of pastel distress inks and their matching oxides. So I'm going to be using inks and oxides, not for every single thing, but I just thought I'd let you know that I'm going to be using both. And so I have them out, and then I need just one color distress paint, and I haven't decided what color that's going to be yet, but I'm going to paint my base. I'm not going to cover this with paper. I just want to keep it easy because remember I said I want this to be a decor piece that we can finish this evening. Well, it's this evening for me because you know I'm a nighttime maker. So, but you know, within an hour or two. So those are the basic things you need. Also collage medium. You always need collage medium. And I'm going to be using for my paper of choice, Distress watercolor cardstock. And I will be stamping Mr. Rabbit in my archival inks, probably ground espresso or something like that, because I probably will be watercoloring him in a bit. All right. So that is where I think I'm going with this. And I'll let you know if I change anything up. Okay, so I'm inviting you to come along and let's get making. As you can tell, I've already changed my mind before I even started. I did go ahead and decide to cover this with paper so that I could use the stamps. So I went around, as you saw, I went around the edge with speckled egg distress ink, and then I stamped in pumice stone. I stamped both of them on the same stamp platform, and then just moved them when I got to the other side so that I have some of each, of some of the words on, both sides. And then sprinkled it with water so that I have some running on there. I didn't do the center because this is all, going to be covered with the squares. So really all that's going to show is the very outside edge. That's really all you have to worry about. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this. And then I really don't have to do too much to the sides unless later on I decide I want to. Maybe put some design tape or something like that around the edge. But really it'll make it much faster. So let me attach this with some Distress Collage Medium and a brush. Then I can set this aside, let it dry and cure while I'm doing my stamping for the blocks. I took 6 pieces of distressed watercolor cardstock. As you saw, I colored each one with the oxide, just blended it on, the whole thing, and then I stamped both the plaid and the polka dot stamps from the Mr. Rabbit set on each end. That way I can get a square out of each if I want, and I have plenty of choices, so I can either have 6 polka dot, I could have 6 plaid, or I could have 3 polka dots and 3 plaids, whatever I want, because I'm gonna have 6 squares. So now that that's done, the main thing that you need to know when you are doing the oxide, you need to dry it well in between and then stamp on it. And most of these showed up really well. The 2 that didn't show up as well were the spun sugar and the speckled egg, and I'm not sure why. They were re-inked, and so they had plenty of ink on them, just the way it is. I guess some show up more than others. Anyway, I think these are going to be a fun background. So now I am going to start cutting them into squares so that I can decide which ones I want for my tiles. I have Mr. Rabbit ready to stamp on some distressed watercolor cardstock. And I'm going to stamp him in ground espresso, and then I'll add a little bit of black soot when I come back and stamp him again. So I'm going to stamp the image, and I'm going to call that good. Let me get that top of that ear a little better. There we go. I'm going to be stamping the eggs now, and to update you, I have stamped Mr. Rabbit and colored him, which you saw. I also stamped the doily with Distress Oxide in Scattered Straw. So these are both ready to be cut out. I colored an extra piece of pink and the spun sugar, and I cut it out with the trims die 65435. And so if you don't have the trims die, you just need to lay the whatever trim you're using on the paper, draw around it with the pencil, and cut it out with scissors, and you're good to go. All right, so now I need some eggs to put on the little shelf. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp those. I'm going to use a technique that Tim has shown us several times in his hoopla, and Stacy has used it many times and is the one that inspired him. So I'm going to give it a try. You need an oxide and a dark color of distress ink. So I'm going to do one in wilted or shaded lilac, and then Villainous Potion for my distress ink. So I'm going to ink up the plaid. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So that's inked. And then I'm going to put the oxide on the egg from the Spring Shadows set. Then you take the one with the oxide and you press it onto the stamp with the distress ink. And then there you go. You have a little plaid egg. So I have spun sugar and picked raspberry, and I'm gonna really ink up the dots with the picked raspberry. I'm going to ink up the egg with the spun sugar. Then press it on there. There we have a little dotted egg. Let's do a blue and a green so that I have a choice. So I'm going to do speckled egg and Uncharted Mariner. So I'm going to do Bundled Sage and Rustic Wilderness. There we go. I have everything stamped, I have everything laid out, and now all I have to do is put it together. So part of pulling it together for me is edging everything with brown. So that's going to pull it for me. It'll pull all of these little bits and pieces together. Before I can do that, I have to adhere everything to all the tiles, the brackets, and all of that stuff. So I'm going to set some of this to the side so that I can start adhering everything, and then I'll edge the rest of it in brown and we'll be good to go. So this is going together pretty quickly. I have everything inked with ground espresso, and just because I don't think I told you this, but I always sand around the edges lightly to make sure that I don't have any paper overhanging or anything like that, because then these won't go back together properly. So I did sand around all the squares. I sanded around the outside. I sanded around these. And then I went over everything with ground espresso, and then I flicked some ground espresso water drops on everything, and we are ready to start adhering. So I'm just going to eyeball this. You can measure if you want, but I think that's close enough. So I'm going to add some collage medium to the back. Then I'm going to put it back right where it was. And I'll do the one next to it. And it gives you a few seconds to make sure that you're good. And once you get your top row on, that looks straight. You're actually good to go. Okay. I am at the end of my collage medium here, but I think I have enough to finish this without having to open the other jar. There we go. That looks great. All right, I want to make sure that my bunny is in the right spot. So I feel like if his shoulder is right about there, that should be good. Okay. So he's going to go like that. And I just want to ink up his whiskers. I don't really need much of anything else. Okay. Okay. Perfect. It's just what I want. Okay. Now some of that will be covered up because I am putting this. So that didn't really make sense, did it? I probably should have stamped that with this on there. If anybody notices, it's their problem, not mine. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start attaching everything. So I'm going to put the shelf on or the bracket, either one. So I'm just sticking some go. And I'm going to put this just below the line. And can you hear Leota outside the door? I don't know if you can hear her. Okay. She wants in. But I have to finish. Okay. I'll put a little there and a little here where it will be touching. And now, I don't need hardly any on this, but and where's my other part of that? I'm trying to decide if, oops, that was the wrong one. It's supposed to be this one. I have to kind of decide if I want any of this hanging off. I pulled out some of my green Spanish moss, and I don't remember if I bought it this way or if I colored this a long time ago. I feel like I maybe bought this way. So I'm going to add a little glue all along here. So this is Distress Collage Medium again. It's pretty much my go-to glue for everything. All right, and then I'm just going to take just little bits and push it down on there. I can always trim it if I need to, but I want this all the way along the shelf. Now, if you want, you can use hot glue, but I'm sticking with the collage medium because even though it takes a little bit longer to dry, like I said, this is going to be on the road. And so I always, whenever I know I'm shipping something that's going to either be in a live or it's going to be, you know, in a booth, I try and use collage medium because I know it'll stay. And if it ends up being in the back of a truck being shipped and it's hot or anything like that, I know the glue won't loosen up. So let this dry a little bit and then we'll start adding our eggs. All right, my collage medium is finally finished drying, and I think this turned out to be really, really cute. So, love the 3D aspect and how simple it was. Just took me a few hours to do. The thing that took the longest probably was making all the different backgrounds and waiting for the collage medium to dry, but I'm glad I did that. So, I'm really happy that I got to use some of my older stamps that I haven't used yet. I haven't used this DOILY stamp yet, and it's been a while since I used the egg stamp, and so I loved getting to use the egg stamp with the backgrounds and doing that double stamping technique. Super fun. Really enjoyed that, and it really brought out the detail of the circle around the dots. It just looks like they're solid dots here, but actually you can see that little circle detail that's around them with the double stamping technique, which is really neat. I think that this rabbit is so dapper and he just looks ready for Easter. And although the stamping in the background on the tiles is very subtle, it is there. And just really love these advertisements too. So I think they made a terrific kind of almost newspapery background for the whole thing. And then just add a perfect little detail down here at the bottom. So overall, I'm very happy with this. It really went together very quickly. And like I said, I did it in real time. So, you know, you can, if you have stuff on hand, you can finish this very quickly as well. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And I hope that you are still really excited about this new stamp set from Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. It is a winner. Stay tuned. I have another video already made. I did it while I was waiting for this to dry so I could finish up this tutorial. So that's in the wings, and I will post that next. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for following along. If you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comments here or on my blog at playswellwithpaper.blogspot.com. And if you want any of these items, I have them linked in the description for this video as well as on my blog. And I want to thank you and wish you a very creative day.